This is going to be another video of me ranting about my personal experiences, if you guys don't mind. But anxiety makes no sense. Sure, from an evolutionary standpoint, sure, I get it. I know why we have it, okay? We need some form of arousal response to prepare ourselves for stressful situations, like being in danger. You know, the whole fight or flight thing, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, I know. But why isn't there some kind of filter that knows when to make me anxious and when not to? I shouldn't have the same reaction to something like, I don't know, almost getting into a car crash and dying, and something like failing a test. I should not be equally afraid in that situation. That doesn't make sense. Stressing out over the dumbest things seems like a horrible way to utilize your resources, your brain power, your energy, everything. It's not helpful, and then it ends up making the situation 10 times worse, because now I'm tweaking out in my head about all the possible ways that something could go wrong, no matter how improbable those outcomes are. Like, anxiety will really have you looking like Dr. Strange in the corner tweaking out, except not nearly as cool, and not for something nearly as serious as like the end of the universe. It's really just gonna look like I just escaped the psycho ward. There is a cool conversation to be had about the evolutionary aspects of anxiety and just similar things when it comes to human nature as well. But just to put it very briefly, we don't have threats today like how we used to have in the old days. Like the really old days, like primitive, like, you know, when we used to have to like hunt and, you know, unga bunga type of stuff. Unga bunga, unga bunga, unga bunga. We ain't gotta do that anymore. Instead, we just Instacart and we DoorDash for food and we watch Skibbity Toilet on our phones for like hours. But our brains didn't evolve fast enough on a biological level for the advancements that we as humanity have made for ourselves. So it's kind of like it works against us in the grand scheme of things. In other words, we're so smart that we're stupid. But anyways, all that is besides the point. I'm probably gonna make another video talking about that. But anxiety, while it's important to have, it'll activate for the dumbest reasons, or at least reasons that don't really warrant that much stress. Like, I don't know, talking to a stranger, which is why social anxiety in particular makes even less sense. Why do I have to learn how to talk to people? Like, what do you mean I'm afraid to talk to people? What does that even mean? Should that not be a part of my software already? Like, did I not get the newest update or evolution? What's up? Because I shouldn't be afraid to talk to people. I should not like to talk to people. That seems counterintuitive to my survival as another human being. Like, I have to talk to people. I quite literally don't have a choice. Unless I just do end up going back to my Unga Bunga days, living in the woods by myself and hunting. And that, no, I'm not doing that. Having to learn how to interact and talk to people, especially when you're older, is one of the most embarrassing and humiliating things. You really just feel like an alien who's trying to like blend in with the other human folk and hope they don't notice. I should not have an insane amount of stress because I have to talk to the cashier at Kroger. It's not that deep. They're never gonna see me again. They won't even remember me by the end of the day, most likely. Yet I have to mentally prepare myself to go say, "Hi, how was your day?" to the cashier, or respond if they ask me that. Again, a reaction I should be having if I almost, I don't know, die. But my brain can't tell the difference between having a heart attack and talking to a stranger. And chances are I am not the only person to experience this. Social anxiety is very, very common in a lot of us, especially after the pandemic, of course. We all know how that went. It hit everybody and messed up their whole flow of communication with other people. Because of this, a lot of people have become very people averse. The phrase "I hate people" has kind of become a trend among like the youth, you know, the Gen Z, the youngins nowadays. And of course there's the "I hate people" as in I just hate humanity and the impending doom of our species and life as we know it, which, you know, that's a little different. Okay, I can understand that. I seen a pin from a screenshot of a TikTok of someone eating a Labubu Dubai chocolate crumble cookie something. It was like trying to see how many Gen Z trends and words you could fit into one sentence. Yeah, like that. That's probably a reason to hate humanity, sure. But it's the "I hate people" of I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to interact with people. I don't want to communicate or try to make connections. Trying to make these phrases and this concept a little quirky personality trait among Gen Z. And not exclusively Gen Z, there are other generations too. But I feel like specifically our younger generation. It seems to have been a way for people to heal or at least cope with the trauma of not knowing how to interact with people and having massive social anxiety. And also helps people create kind of a bond of this "I hate people" mentality among other people who feel the same way, which is a little ironic. But it's a lot more than just a quirky personality trait or just feeling annoyed around other people. It encompasses a lot more. We're just afraid to admit that. And as somebody who's embodied that phrase for a very long time, I know what it is. When I was younger, I would have panic attacks very frequently. I've talked about this in a previous video. And yes, there was a trigger event that caused it. They didn't just come out of nowhere. But I would have panic attacks several times a week for about half a year. At the same time, I was online schooled for the vast majority of my life and had very, very little interactions with people, especially with kids my age. So I had a lot of social anxiety as well, and I absolutely refused to talk to anybody. In the few instances that we would go out, 9 times out of 10 would just be to shop for food. And when we did that, I would avoid people like the plague. If my parents ever sent me into the store to go get something, I would never ever ask anybody for help with anything. If I couldn't find something in the store that we needed, best believe I was going to walk up and down every one of those aisles by myself to figure out where it is, until I eventually gave up and just tell my parents, yeah, sorry, they don't have what we're looking for. When secretly I really just didn't want to ask anybody who worked there for help, because I was not about to do that. No, that's not happening. Self-checkout was my best and my only friend. I do not care if there was a line for the self-checkout and no line for the regular checkout. I would wait on that line to get to the self-checkout. And even in the few instances where we did go out just to have fun, not to go shopping, sometimes we go to Six Flags and stuff like that, I would just find myself getting so annoyed and fatigued so quickly. Even when doing something like shopping, I get fatigued really fast. We could go to one store and I'd be like, all right, that's it. Time to go home, I'm done. My social battery is basically non-existent. You know how you have your different categories of social people, right? You got your introverts, people who recharge by having their alone time. You've got your extroverts, people who are energized and recharged by being around other people. And then you got your ambiverts, who's a little bit of both, right? But what they don't tell you is there's a fourth category called the super introvert. That's what I am. I've got like 1 hour max to be in a public space and I'm ready to go home. I'm basically a phone that can only function if it's constantly being charged. I can go to one place and get irritable immediately. It really doesn't take that much, especially when I was younger. Now it's getting better because I'm forcing myself out of that a little bit, but my tolerance is still pretty bad. If I'm in a place that's even a little bit loud and crowded, that's it, it's game over. I start spazzing, spacing, and tweaking out for absolutely no reason. I get annoyed, I get overstimulated, I want to leave. Everything just annoys me in that moment. There's a scene from an anime called Monster, for any of my anime watchers, if you've watched Monster, but there's this one scene that close to the end of the anime that perfectly encapsulates what I'm trying to express. I can't remember for the life of me the character's name because it's been a minute since I watched it. You don't need to know anything else about anything. Just know this is one character who has to take this girl into a party for like some mission that they're doing or whatever. And the whole time you basically are inside of his head and you hear him monologuing and talking to himself about all the people in the party.
What could possibly be so funny? Jeez, I can't tell what any of these people are going on about. The weather report, the stock market. I don't even know what language they're speaking. It sounds like gibberish to me. I'm starting to feel sick.
This man is basically my spirit animal. But the point is, I'm not exactly the funnest person to be around after like an hour of being somewhere that's loud and crowded, which is something that I am trying to change, especially because you start to notice that that type of vibe and energy a lot of people don't find likable. And as a person who was trying to get better at interacting with other people and getting them to like me, I kind of came to the conclusion that I needed to animate myself in order to become a more interesting person. I talked about this in my nonchalant video, and a lot of you also agreed and found, had that same experience. But putting so much energy and effort into something I normally wouldn't be just drained me even faster. I am naturally a very, very low energy person, but I animate myself when I need to because that's the mold I think the world wants to see me in. So it just ends up making me more drained and more stressed, and it's just like a very, very negative feedback system or positive feedback system. I don't know which one. But the point is that will contribute to my annoyance, my irritability, and my anger and my hatred towards people, especially because I had to put so much of this effort just to seem likable, or again, what I thought would be likable, versus people who can just do it, people who can just make friends just like that. People who, when they walk into a room, it's like, the whole energy changes. Whenever it came to any type of social communication interaction, I would always just feel so angry. Like whenever we went out and I would hear like loud groups of teenagers laughing, stuff like that, playing around the parking lot or the stores, I would be so annoyed, like, oh my gosh, shut up, why are y'all so loud? Coming of age stories would piss me off, and they still do. There's just so much like envy and jealousy of like, why can't I do that? I really, really didn't like interactions with people at all. I hated small talk. They always seem unnecessary and always seem cheesy to me, except For that time, I had one good interaction. And I don't mean a specific time, I just mean any moment where I've talked to a stranger and actually felt good afterwards. I felt good about the conversation I had. I would leave feeling proud of myself. I would replay the situation like a million times in my head, cringe at all of the really embarrassing and bad parts of it, but then I would get all excited when I'm thinking back on the conversation and like start giggling and kicking my feet because, hey, I actually ate that part of the conversation. The part where I made them laugh or said a decent joke. And I know we all do this too. Don't sit here and make it seem like it's just me. I know we all do this. I would find myself enjoying the interaction. What I've learned as I got older and started actually exploring more social spaces, especially when I went back to public school, my senior year of high school, and also going into college too, I don't hate people. And when a lot of us say, I hate people, we don't realize that we don't actually hate people. I hate myself for not knowing how to interact with people. I hate myself for feeling like I don't know how to be human, even though that should be intuitive because it seems intuitive for everyone else. Everyone else seems to be making friends just fine, small talking just fine. Why can't I do that? Why am I having trouble doing that? So because of that, you start to tell yourself that you don't like those things or you don't care for those things, so you don't get disappointed. You hate people so you can do without them. You can do without the friendships, the relationships, because they're hard to achieve. It's, oh my gosh, people are so annoying. Oh my gosh, I hate people. So you could have an excuse and also make sense of the issue that you're having of being able to communicate with people. And it becomes so exhausting that, just as I was saying earlier, you kind of just want to detach from it. Not because you don't want it, but because you just feel like you can't have it. You're not doing it right. Because unfortunately, it's not an intuitive skill. It's not something that you are just born with and programmed with. And then you just have people who genuinely just really, really hate people. Like they genuinely don't care to have friendships or relationships. And maybe they do just want to go back to Unga Bunga days, hunting in the woods by themselves. And if that's the case, I mean, that's understandable. I get that. But for the most of us, we do want to create friendships and be able to talk to people and have it feel natural. It's just hard. It's just very difficult for us to do so. So therefore we use the I hate people mantra to kind of make sense of it, to hopefully say it enough and trick our brains to believe that we don't actually want friendships or relationships or want to be able to socially interact with other people. But at a certain point, it doesn't work anymore. As I mentioned before, I kind of held that mantra up for the longest time when I was online school because, again, I really had no outlets to make friends. It was like, okay, fine, I don't need them then. I don't like people anyway. But after being online school for 9 years, going into public school my senior year, that lie started to break a little bit, It started to pull back because I was enjoying talking to kids my age. But that didn't last very long because, just a quick tip, don't move to a new school your senior year if that's under your control, of course. I wouldn't recommend it. It was very, very difficult to make genuine friendships because it's your senior year. Everybody's been there since freshman year. They all have their little cliques and their little groups. Nobody is trying to make friends with the new kid in the corner of the class, the acquaintances, sure, but real friendships, it was hard. So I graduated and left high school with no friends, basically. So I thought that when I went to college, it would be different. I was like, okay, well, I'm a freshman in college now, so I'm gonna make all the friends. I thought it would be different, but then it wasn't. And it bummed me out for a while, really. It made that kind of self-alienation feeling even worse of basically being an alien trying to cosplay as a human. It didn't really help that thought process I was having. It made me really depressed for a while when I started to realize that I myself just wasn't doing enough. I can't wait around for the perfect friend to fall into my lap and talk to me and we'll go running off into the sunset together. This is not anime or movies or anything like that. I wanted it to be, but that's not how life works. So I realized I had to actually put in the effort. I had to be active about it. I was very passive. Again, I just thought people were supposed to come to me and just talk to me. That's not how that works. I had to learn the skill. We aren't programmed with it. So I had to learn the skill of being human. I had to learn the skill of being social. I forced myself to not only become part of a club, but become a board member. I'm one of the main teachers at our dance club at our school now. It's a brand new club. We made it from the ground up. I picked up playing tennis and joined the tennis club, started playing with other students. I became a research assistant for my psychology professor. And now I'm teaching other students how to run the experiments and stuff like that. I'm making more connections with my professors as well, not even just the students. I had to put in effort. That's what was missing. That's what I wasn't doing. And I've now gotten a lot more comfortable with talking to people and a bit better at making connections. You have to put in effort if you want to and that loneliness and that feeling of alienation that you're feeling. Because a lot of you don't hate people like you're saying that you hate people and making it your little catchphrase. You want friendships, you want interactions, you want romantic relationships, but you keep telling yourself that you can't have them. You have to be active about it. You cannot be passive. You cannot wait for it to fall into your lap. You have to put in the effort and you have to learn the skill. Don't try and hide behind that little quirky personality trait of, oh, I just hate people. Because the more you lie to yourself like that, when given an opportunity to finally make friends and talk to people, it's gonna be that much more difficult. And that lie is gonna fade very fast, and you're gonna realize, no, I do like people. I want to like people. I want to talk to people. I'm just not good at it. And that's okay. You have to put in the effort and put in the time and the understanding. It is not going to be easy. It's going to be very, very difficult. But you know, turning to like alpha male coaches or dark femme coaches is probably not the way to go. They're not gonna help you either. Please do not enter your little villain era, okay? Because you say you don't need friendships. No, stop it. Just stop. Socialization is a skill. Talking to people is a skill, unfortunately. So you're just gonna have to learn how to do it. Or you could go into the woods and go back to your roots of unga bunga. Your choice. I mean, low-key doesn't sound like a bad life if you genuinely want that. I'm rooting for you. Go off. Live your Minecraft dreams. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. Just again, I kind of wanted a chill rant video similar to my nonchalant video because you guys really seem to like that one. So I wanted to give another video that hopefully a lot of you can relate to and watch to feel validated and kind of can use it, you know, to help your own situations. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.